My painting today is going to be of this lovely church in Felmersham, a village in Bedfordshire. I've sketched it out and I'm going to do a very light wash on this one and just coat the surface and reflect some of the stonework. I've got a big tree coming in here and framing it. I've sketched it out. The big problem, or one of the challenges of a sketch like this, I took this photograph, my reference photograph, from low down looking up, and you'll notice I've got to deal with perspective in three directions really, this way. So I've sketched initially and I thought it was the tower looked too big at the top, so I've had to readjust this and make sure I get, it may look like it's slanting, but in reality that's what perspective does in this respect when we're looking up. I'm going to emphasize somewhat the bright side coming this way, the sun from this direction, so this needs to be a bit lighter than here. This slightly shadowed, although it wasn't a particularly bright day when I took my photograph. Got a fairly accurate drawing, I think, not photorealism, but anyway, it's a little bit of a different view to what people normally see of this church. So I thought, just for the challenge, I will have a go at it. A lot of muted tones, of course, and the green here. But I've got some nice sort of purpley, umber, reddy colours here, and this sort of almost orangey sort of, what should I call it? Sort of umber, I suppose. It's mainly an umber, but a little on the orange and the brighter yellowy side. Got lots of details to get in, but I've got a fairly uninteresting sky there, so perhaps I'll brighten this up a little bit and use artistic license. We can create it as we wish. And I've actually put in a bit of a bush here, and that's right, a tree here, and a little bit of the lich gate is here jutting. I've compressed it somewhat so I can get it in, so not entirely accurate, but close enough. So let's get on with that. My usual palette of colours that I've got. My usual browns and greens and yellows, the normal, very standard colour. But I think I need to, before I get cracking on this, I need to clean up my palette a little bit there. But I can use this little bit of wash and green, I think, to give me a sort of lighter tone here, just over this tree. And it's coming over the lich gate here, over the porch of this entrance to the church. Here's the lich gate, that's different there. So I'll just use this to give me some, and like a lot of watercolour, you do it in different layers. You let it dry before you progress to the next one, unless you want to do wet on wet. Of course, you're going to drop some darker colours in there, which I might do actually while I'm at it. Let's wipe up and introduce some different greens. I've got this big old tree coming into our picture here, framing it. Let's get a little bit more green. I've got sap green here and viridian. So let's I mean, it is midsummer now, so we can put some bright greens in. Would make a lot of sense, I think. Just tap them in here. If I want to yellow them up, make them brighter, just add a bit of cadmium yellow. Drop them in a little bit, catch the light. But we need darker greens as well, certainly to emphasize our light colours, to make the church stand out. So I'm mixing up some viridian, some sap green, but I'm going to put some ultramarine blue into the mix, and that will give us a nice darker green, sort of bluey green. But I can take out, if it's too blue, I just drop a little bit of brown into it. Got some burnt umber there. It's got a little bit more green, I think. It's a push and pull attitude to the method to painting, for me anyway. Using a Chinese brush here, got a nice point on that, so you can get some nice texture going. Try and vary the greens. It can be quite challenging because there are so many different greens. If you're not careful, you can look a bit samey, so got to try and vary that a little bit. So I think I'll leave that for the moment, and when it's dry, of course, I can come back and put a lot more darker colours when it's drier. But at this point, it's wet on wet technique, so they blend into each other, all the different colours. So let's leave that for the moment, I think. Let that dry up a little. Silhouette our lich gate. Here's the roof of the lich gate. So let's leave a few little sky holes. See a bit of the sky coming through. Right, let's leave that. Now I think I could put a bit of a wash into the front of the church, and here I've got to get nice, I think, have a little bit of ochre. Yellow ochre is a good base for this, and then I could, I'm going to be fairly light with this, and I want light from on this side and a little darker here. It's 1:45 when I took this picture, so I took my reference photograph, so it's not exactly overhead, pretty much though. Get that down, sweep it in. Just a matter if we leave a few lights. Use the white of the paper in watercolour to give you the light. You can use gouache, of course, to highlights, or gouache sometimes people call it. Body paint is another term for it. That's opaque watercolour, as opposed to what I've got here is standard watercolour, which is translucent for most of them anyway. The light can come through. On the face, let's give some different tones. Get some raw sienna, I think. Let's try a few of those. Let's have a look. Yes, I think we could put a say this is a little bit darker on this side. You've got lots of little features that you can add in. So let's just gently wash it in. Got to do the face of the clock, of course, which is a nice bluey colour. Could put a bit more shadow in here. Let's again vary it. Buttress there. Another buttress. Got a shadow on these edges. Yes. Nice castellation. A castle here. Just behind our tree to the left here. Some bit of dry brush here, so this brush is not so much paint, and it will give me a little bit of a little bit of the white showing through. So I want to keep it fairly light. Right, now let's just have a little slightly different colour here. Added a little bit of blue there to capture that shadow side. Down here, right, and then I've got what do I do here? This is part of the porch area of the church here. This nice, somewhat sandy coloured here. It's getting a bit more light this side. But inside here we're going to have to get a nice dark colour going to reflect how it's shadowed. Here we've got to get somewhat lighter, so get some ochre there and plenty of water. I just want to keep, this is something of the sunny side really, so we'll just sweep it in there. That's catching the sun from left to right there, so we'll just sweep that in. Right, let's have a little bit of tissue to hand. So we can keep it light there. And a little reddish colour on some of these roofs. We could do that. Go back to my reference picture. Yes, it's quite light red almost. Let's get some of that in. Sweep it in. Also there, our lich gate. I'll try and get some of the timbers in as well. Under here, a bit of shadow. Let's get a little bit of burnt umber as well. Show some of the tile area. Right, there we go. And then we have, oh yes, of course, here. Let's get some of the bit darker there. Let's have a look. Yes, that'll do it. I've got some darks in there. We've got to get dark under these edges as well. That emphasizes the roof structures a little better. Along there. These flying buttresses here. Tile there. Trying to get some of the shadows in. It's the shadows that help you define the form a little bit. These are dark windows. That'll be a stained glass window. It's just dark from where we're looking now. Another buttress coming like this. Got sort of tile creases as well along the sides here. Another buttress there. Come right down. Got a little structure there across. Right. Now I think I need to get some good darks in some areas certainly. I'm thinking the porch area, this was all quite dark in my reference photograph. A lot of shadow cast by this tree. Window there. This is a bit. It's dark. Well, I got it. Now this is dried up a little bit. I can get some dry brush on there, or to colour out more colour, I should say, without it bleeding too much because it's drying up. Right, now let's get, there's a little bit of light coming through into this part of the church there, still coming down here behind this tree on the left. So we can put something in there and hint at these colours. Now I need something a little different green there, more distant, sort of bluish, to push our eye back. Right, now I need, let's put in the let's put a sweep of grass in there, colour. Now we can do something a bit more vibrant than that, I think. I'll make a little puddle up here. A little bit of a yellow because I want to keep it summery. Right. Yes, that'll do it. Churchyard, just painting around these gravestones. Like that. Okay. Right, let's get some of these gravestones in while we're in this area. Sort of, some of them are sort of yellowy, russety colour. Let's see what we can do with some of them were here. Yes, that's not too bad. What's happening to my brush? It's splitting here, this Chinese brush. Right, let's do that. Okay, I think this one was a similar sort of colour. Right. This part of the church was different coloured stonework. Righty-ho. And we've got to do the other gravestones, haven't we? Let's keep them fairly light, sort of neutral tone, I suppose. It'll wash them, yes, that will do it. Sort of grey, greyish colour. Vary different colours. Right, let's change the colour a little bit. Let's get a darker colour for contrast here. Bit of Payne's grey. Right. And this one too. I've got to do the lich gate as well. Just put a bit of ochre with that one. Yeah, I'll get a little bit more slightly darker wash here on some of these bits, and I need to get these little timbers in, but they were a little bit greyish actually. Let's see if I can get that. Yes, some old timbers there. A lich gate here. Lovely old structure. Get some of the form to our gravestones. And of course we've got to put the dark of the windows in. Bit of the buttress here, so we can give it some form. It's a bit of a tile crease along there. window there. Sort of ironwork in here as well. Sort of railing there. So I'm trying to show some of that in our darks. Give some shape to this tombstone there. There's a little bit of texture in this paper. It's not heavily textured, but I can just get a little something there. Suggest some writing on these stones. Now, let me think, should I put, we've got along here, we've got a wall, an old wall, sort of, I suppose a bit of limestone wall really. But let's put a wash in to get us started, and we can, when it's dried off, I can put some texture in to represent the bricks. Right. Let me think. I could put, drop a little bit of darker, well, it's wet on wet, it can bleeds a little bit. So you get a soft edges. Yes, that's bleeding all right. Vary the colour a little bit. Let's get a bit of raw sienna there, I think. Yes, that'll do it. Some darks in there. Right, well, so we'll come back to do something, I think, when it's a little drier. Although I just can drop those in, I think. A little bit of different tiles, copings on this wall. So I can go with that. just try and suggest some stonework. On these flat surfaces, so that's one thing you can do with a watercolour to add interest as well. Just randomly put some different colours in, so you keep your viewer interested. Don't want to put too much detail, of course, because if you do that, strangely enough, too much attention drawn sometimes is not a good idea. Counterproductive. Start being picky and saying, oh, you haven't done this right, or I haven't done that right. But keep that a little bit. Let's get some darker. That's better, I think. So we can smudge it out a little bit. You can use a little tiny brush to put in some dry brushwork, some detail in a second or two. Now let's get, I need to get some of these windows in. They're in deep shadow, so they are dark there. Another one here, down there. Right. Our lich gate. And I think we really ought to darken up this porch, so we've got contrast with our main feature, which is the main building and the tower. Let me put some dark in for our windows. I need to get a lot of these lovely arches and decoration here on the church. Lots of detail on this church. You could go on and be very accurate if you wished. I'm trying to keep this fairly loose. Right. Okay. On this face you've got sort of block, different stonework. So I'm trying to show some variety there. Just touch in a little bit. Said you could go on and on doing this, which is fine if you want to do that. If you've got the patience, you're interested in fine, more realism, then you can go for that. Some detail here. I think we need a little darker and down here. Right, how are we going? As I said, I think this should be the darker. I think the sun was coming here, as I say, it's portrait of 1, so it was fairly flat light really. It was a little overcast, so I think I'm going to try and emphasize more by darkening up this side more so. Right. I think, is it time to put in our sky? Let me think. Let me just do a little bit more, darken up our greens. I'm going to use some Viridian this time. Maybe some Hooker's green. Make our nice darkest mixture. I want it dark, but too bluey. Yes, I think that will help. Right. Said it's really quite dark over here. It was overshadowing this part of the church. Got a little bit of dark there. We could do that. Bit of vary the colour though, somewhat. Alright, okay, let's leave that for a moment. And I should put a bit of green vegetation here. Come on, these gravestones, grass was growing up all over them. A bit of texture there. And then let's see if we can introduce something with these these stones. It's all a bit flat at the moment. Trying to suggest some of these bricks. Mixture of little flat stones, almost like Cotswold stone. So let's get a bit of ochre in there. Tone it down, a little light red. Right. Can use an old card to scratch in some brick-like forms. It's a little wet, you can sometimes do that. Need a little more water, a little wetter paint. Right, let's go back to the card again. Okay, let's leave that for the moment. Now, what about our sky? Should we have a go? Got a little splash of something there. Right, so just a few beams, a few branches. Let's try and get a bit of blue in, just to make it a little bit more interesting, a little warmer. So what should we go with? How about a little cobalt for a change? Yes, we could do that. Let's get something here. God, hair's coming out of this Chinese brush. Yes, that might give us something. Was high summer. I took the picture, although that's somewhat bluer than it was, certainly. So I think we'll just wash it out a little bit. Skies are always lighter towards the horizon anyway, so we can live with that. For a dry brush you can wipe it out a little bit. Right, now let us look at some of the detail. Should I? Perhaps I need to tighten up on detail. Let's get a smaller brush, I think. And have another look at our reference picture. Yes. Perhaps with a smaller brush I could do some work with the green. Give us some sort of lighter suggestions. Right. Maybe I need to put some detail in that porchway. I could do that, I think. Yes, and these windows here, they're got three there, look. Just to get them in. That's better. And these, perhaps these need to be darker in places. church gate. Yes, I think over here there's a window, the other part of the building, the edge of the building there, and some of these tile creases. Window edge coming there. Define the building a bit better. And our clock. Base is a little bluey grey. Let's do that. See if I can put the hands in some way. A bit later. Right. Now, how is that coming along? Yes, I've got drain pipe coming there all the way down. Bit of the roof structure there. Tile crease. Get some of that wall as well. These little details sometimes help give interest. That's it. I think a little bit of texture I can add to this face here to make it stand out from the left. A little bit here. Oh, I know what I can do. Just add a little bit texture to some of these stones here, make them stand out a little better. Got decoration on and inscriptions. Many of them worn away now over the years. This church is well known for a feature over here on the west side. It's got a beautiful decorative face there, which I believe is a very fine example, I think, of its type and studied by architects, I think. People studying these as a fine example. I must find out the details of it. Maybe I'll paint it one of these days. It takes so much detail on it now. Right, and go with that, and let's think about a little bit more detail in the porch area, perhaps. I notice some of these features here. It's all very dark under here, so I think we'll just scrub that in a little bit so we can add some emphasis to the other areas. Now, should I define these arches a little better? Buttress there. Okay, shadow under there. Eve. The tiles there. Let's just give that bit of emphasis on here as well. Right. Now I think perhaps I should leave it at this. I can always do more later, I probably will. Some fine details. But trying to be on my guard about overworking it. We've got a chimney there, the flagpole, I should say, and we must put a flag in there. Get that organised. Bit of colour a bit later. Right, let me think. Have a little look. Yep. A little bit darker, I think. Oh, there you are. That's my session today. Felmersham Church, beautiful church in Bedfordshire. And if you like to see my art, please subscribe. Just push a like button and subscribe. That'll help me, encourage me to do some more. And hope to see you again on one of my painting adventures. Thanks for watching.